Good morning, good evening, or good night. If you haven't met me before, I'm Ash, and if you have, it's lovely to see you again. Today, I'm delving into a concept that is surprisingly not super explored in the Steven Universe fandom. As we all know, there exist single gem equivalents to all of the fusions. However, the only canon ones we get are the garnets in the Save the Light, video game. So I'm taking a little bit of a crack at exploring some designs and ideas for other fusion single gem equivalents. Starting off super easy in my opinion with Sugalite. She's super big and strong, and made up of at least 2 little soldier gems. I don't necessarily think that the components like statuses combine, as the garnets in Save the Light are basically second only to the diamonds, and while Sapphire is a very aristocratic gem, rubies seem to be one of, if not the lowest rank gems in the gem society / hierarchy, so I took personality and abilities more in mind for figuring out their role. I made Sugalite very similar to a quartz soldier, obviously not an actual quartz, but still a very soldier-like character. She wears the same uniform that the rest of the gem soldiers wear, and I imagine, much like our Sugalite, they're incredibly powerful, but super, super destructive and predominantly used for hard terrain or when organic life on the planet is super resilient or powerful themselves. However, because Sugalites are so destructive, it's basically a death sentence to be put on a team with her. She does not care about your status, or even if you're the enemy or not. If you're in her way, you won't stay that way for long. I imagine they're used as a very last resort kind of weapon, and are fairly unintelligent. Not that that's a bad thing, but they're not really supposed to think. They are very much like the tanks of a group, and that really plays into their ability to just barrel through the enemy or the target or whatever the reason is that they are on the planet. Aesthetically, when I was kind of trying to figure out the design elements of Sugalite, she has the big hair that is very akin to the quartz soldiers, and she has more of the body proportions we associate with the quartz soldiers, so it just made the most sense for me that she would be that, just design-wise, and it also felt like just the easiest way to go about making a single gem equivalent of her. I decided to draw not only these single gem equivalents, but also the fusion themselves, just to get a visual idea of the differences between them and the similarities. And then I also throw in Steven and try and quote-unquote height chart them, but it's not the most accurate thing. But can you blame me? Steven Universe didn't exactly have the most accurate height charts going on during the show, so I think a little discrepancy is excusable on my part. This specific Sugalite is of Blue Diamond's court, but just like the amethysts, blue and pink are probably necessary for their creation, but I don't think they would have existed after Pink had her colony, so I think they are an older gem, an older than amethyst gem. They were not made on Earth, just because I don't think Earth was the terrain that they were designed for, and then I just don't think Rose would have intentionally in any way helped to make a warrior that would make it significantly harder for her to fight for freedom. So I think they existed well before the rebellion, and so they have quite a reputation. They're quite bigger than your average quartz. I imagine even a defective one or lower cut Sugalite is at least as tall as Jasper, just because of the sheer power that they are supposed to have. So despite being a soldier gem, I think they are fairly rare in gem society. On to Opal, and she is my pride and joy, the elegant silent type. I based her status on something more akin to an agates or topazes, either in charge of soldiers like Holly Blue seems to be, or more of a bodyguard-like character. They're the strategists of soldiers, and the one to have to be the bearer of bad news when someone like the Hessenites or Garnets decide that the Sugalites are going to be let out.
Release the baby!
Get Sandy, go!
Or she'd be a higher-up gems-specific guard, like how rubies are seemingly made for sapphires and maybe morganites, or how topaz seems to belong to aquamarine. I think opals are also given as bodyguards to aristocratic gems. Potentially, as an added bonus, all opals form with long-range weapons like our opal, and post-pink diamonds shattering, they basically function as like the snipers of the FBI? CIA? I'm not American, and I don't overly understand how my own military system works here in Australia, but they just are the guys who are up in the towers, snipers ready in case you're going to like assassinate or try and attack the diamonds. I do think this would be a post-pink diamonds shattering thing, just because I genuinely don't think the diamonds thought they could be shattered or were in any kind of danger of something like that. And so either opals, coincidentally, were always supposed to be long-range fighters, or they were made Era 2 gems specifically were made to be long-range fighters for this reason. They probably don't just protect the diamonds, obviously. They probably protect any aristocratic gem. Sapphires who have to like speak with the diamonds, or maybe have to speak to their Hessenites or their Garnets, or even their topazes and their aquamarines and their agates. Like, just whenever morganites or sapphires or any just aristocratic gem have to be out in the open in any way that is deemed a threat to their safety, I think this is where opals come in. That's just some like rambling ideas of who these gems are in gem society, but the design itself was supposed to evoke a leader, the cape and the overall feminine energy, more specifically because the gems are a matriarchal society, so I kind of view femininity in gem design as like a status thing. Think blue, pink, and white all having very feminine designs, yellow being the only one with a more military and masculine design, but even then she is a lesbian and she's got some beautiful feminine qualities about her. And so I just think femininity really strikes me as powerful within the gem designs. All as an excuse to give her a skirt, just because I think it looks cute and kind of evokes Supergirl, and that's all coming out right now, and I adore her. I tried the most amount of different designs with Opal, just because capes and like flowing fabric obviously give more freedom in the design, so I wanted to just explore with a couple of different options for that, and see which ones like evoked the energy I was trying to give her the most. I ended up kind of most similarly going for this design that I had with the white diamonds. I think this specific opal is of white diamonds court, and so she's quite a bit more stoic and not as full of herself as I think other opals might be. I think especially yellow diamonds opals, like blood opals and things like that, probably view themselves as quite over the top and more important than obviously the other soldiers, because they quite literally are. Whereas I think white diamonds court evokes more demure, I don't need to tell you I'm more powerful than you because we already all know kind of energy. And I just was vibing with her cuter vibe, especially in comparison to our Opal being quite confident in herself. as most stable fusions are. All the gems I chose were a pretty random assortment of them. I was originally going to do all of Amethyst fusion, so I was going to do smoky quartz in this video, but I just kind of didn't want to do another quartz soldier. I definitely could have made Sugalite not a quartz soldier, but she's not really giving me anything else. Like, she's giving demolition, but I feel like that's such a not interesting design that I could have gone with, as much as just making her a quartz soldier was so much more of an interesting concept. I joke. So instead, I've decided to throw Sardonyx into the ring. She is probably my second, if not first, favorite fusion. I love Opal. Like, Opal is the love of my life, but also Sardonyx is iconic. And her design got me really inspired. When I was drawing our Sardonyx, just as, once again, to find the design elements that Sardonyx's might share with our fusion version, I was really inspired by her eyes. They really reminded me of a spider, and then she's also got the twisting limbs going on, so I was originally going to do something way more spider-inspired. I just couldn't really see any reason as to why a gem like this would have been made, and the multiple limbs and eyes thing that were inspiring me are obviously a very fusion-specific thing. As far as I'm aware, no single gem havers, I guess, have more than 2 eyes. Obviously Sapphire's only got 1, but she's a special case, I guess, and they definitely don't get more than 2 limbs, like 2 arms. Obviously they have more than 2 limbs because they got their 2 legs and their 2 arms, but that's a different story. So instead, I'm putting a spider-themed fusion in my back pocket, probably for a Fusion Friday, either when the right gems strike my inspiration, or if Garnet gets to fuse with any of the Cannon Pearls. Or if maybe Rhodonite and Garnet get to fuse, actually. That could be cool. In the end, I was thinking about how human her, Sardonyx's outfit is. She's obviously a TV host of some description, and I don't know quite how I got to a judge from that in my ideas. But the most human-like gems to me, other than the crystal gems, seem to be the zircons. Clearly they're the most inspired by a real-world equivalent, that being a lawyer, and they are phenomenal at getting that vibe across in their designs. Their gems looking very purposely put on their ascot or tie-like location. But TV hosts are kind of just the judges of pop culture. You plead your case to them about your movie or other project you're working on, and how that TV host or journalist, I guess, judges you and your work is how then the world perceives it. So that is a very vague how my brain got there moment, but I figured the Diamonds made lawyers and have a legal system. Surely they are not the judges at every single trial. Rose Quartz was obviously an incredibly important and personal case for them, so I think the Diamonds do judge when they deem it serious enough, but they're very busy ladies. Many colonies and more important matters to attend to than the equivalent of a traffic violation or something. So in comes my idea for Sardonyxes. They're just judges. Because of this, I based the design off of a combination of our fusion Sardonyx, judges obviously, and the zircons. She's maybe a bit scandalous for a judge with the bodysuit and all that, but I obviously used our Sardonyx's suit as inspiration on that, and as I've mentioned, I really connect femininity in gem designs with being powerful or more important than other things, just because of the, once again, matriarchal society. I imagine there are probably some Sardonyxes that have pants instead of this little leotard, but I was very specifically trying to design them as the gem equivalent of our versions of them. So if our Sugalite or our Opal or our Sardonyx were single gems, they would potentially look like this. This Sardonyx is the only one where I have kind of thrown a wrench in that idea just by putting her gem in a completely different spot. Oh, I actually did that with Sugalite as well, actually. I forgot about that. I did Sugalite's gem like that specifically so I could copy the, like, one leg thing that she's got going on. But I made a specific decision to make this Sardonyx have a gem over her eye, because I thought it would be a really interesting symbolic idea if, like, Lady Justice, I wasn't as inspired by Lady Justice as I wanted to be. She was, like, part of my references, but I didn't take nearly as much inspiration from her as I think I could have. But I digress. Lady Justice is blind, and Justice is blind. But Sardonyx is not. She's only half blind. She's peeking a little bit because obviously in this dictatorship, the fucking legal system is a joke, right? Like, your case does not matter. They've decided you're guilty before they've heard your case. So especially this Sardonyx. Girl is biased as all hell. To wrap it up, I had a lot of fun thinking about and writing what these, like, characters could be in Gem Society, and I might do another one, but for now this is just like a one-off video, and if you guys like it or I get the inspiration, I will definitely do this again. Promotional plug at the end. If you like my stuff, please give it a like and subscribe. Find me on Instagram and TikTok. And if you really like my stuff, you should check out my store. I don't currently have any Steven Universe art, but hopefully that'll change.